Hey, this is Lance McGowan and
Mallie Simpson.
hey, and today we're going to talk about part 5 of the Young Living versus doTERRA lawsuit and some of the information that we found. And really the purpose of this whole series and even the following videos that we're going to do is to make sure that, number one, we saw a lot of misinformation out there. We saw a lack of information out there, and we saw people basically, misperceiving stuff. And so we wanted to give the facts on that and kind of set the record straight on this whole, company versus company thing, because it's really just trying to make sure you get the truth and the information that can help you make an educated decision. And then some people are sometimes saying in the videos, hey, well, why don't you just focus on your own company, right? But the thing is that we get questions a lot from people asking, well, what is the difference between Young Living and doTERRA, and what does set doTERRA apart, or what makes Young Living this or that? And so we get a lot of comments digitally, but then also in person in our classes. And so we just want to give that information to everyone and let these resources and the facts really just speak for themselves. And so that's the purpose behind everything. And a lot of it is driven by demand and just comments and questions from people in real life, but then also online.
Yes, exactly. We want to be able to give people, the latest, what's the latest information, because this, lawsuit and this has been going on for a while, but it's, a lot of changes and things have been dropped and other things have been started. So, new information, and we want to have the most updated information for people to know, to be educated, so they can make a choice for themselves.
Exactly. It's all about education in this regard. And so as a follow-up to part 4, this video is primarily going to be about the email that we got back from Young Living when Mallie asked them a couple questions. So Mallie's just going to talk about the couple questions that she asked, and then she's going to go over Young Living's response in the email, and then we're going to kind of tie it all together in the end here and what that means for you. All right.
Okay, so I'm going to read off my phone here the email, and what I asked is, I said, hi, could you tell me what % of the oils that you sell come from the farms that you own at this time? Thank you. And their response was, thank you for emailing product support. We apologize for the delayed response. We are happy to assist you with your question. For general information regarding some of the oils we distill at our co-op and partner farms, please see our Farms Around the Globe handout. And we can talk about that a little bit. We cannot disclose specific information on each source of our oils, as we regard it as proprietary information and a source of our competitive advantage. So, going on, Young Living has often relied on trusted third-party partners to produce some of our more exotic oils, which would be those that we cannot grow in the climates that exist at our farms or our co-op farms. These operations provide an ongoing source for essential oils that meet Young Living's demanding quality standards. We can assure you that each batch of essential oil, whether from our own farms or co-op farms or trusted partners, is subjected to the same quality control laboratory tests and audits to ensure our seed to sale standards are met in every way.
All right. So before we kind of respond to that, there is a PDF that they also sent, and we can take a look at that a little bit as well and just kind of give you basically an overview of what it's showing here. I don't know if you had it, but I know I took a look at it, and basically it's 2 pages, and the first page is just announcing that it is kind of the seed to seal kind of farm, and the next page just shows a number of locations that Young Living has farms at and some of the oils that are produced there as well. And so it kind of gives like a picture of the farm, the location, some of the an overview of what that farm is and things like that. So it's pretty straightforward. And after looking at that, it still doesn't answer the top 6 factors that we include in a lot of our previous videos, which is the corporately owned farm percent of total, which is one of those top 6 factors. The other one is the corporate farm volume percent of the total, so how much those corporately owned farms are cranking out from a volume standpoint. The partnership farm volume percent of total, so knowing what the partner farms are making. And then the essential oil exclusivity percent of the total, so of those partner farms and what they're doing, are they giving oils to other companies, or is it just Young Living exclusive, contracts? Can you verify the bottle batch number for quality and verify that you're actually getting what the tests and whatnot say? And then are there fair trade wages for all stakeholders? That's everyone from corporate executives all the way down to the employees, all the way down to, the folks that are at the farms, whether they're owned or not. And so these are the top 6 factors. And the reason why we bring these up is because these are the main things that came up in the trial with Young Living and doTERRA. And, some people, ask me on my videos, like, well, why does it even matter what percent is corporately owned? And, why does it even matter, what percent output it is? Well, they just admitted in the email. And, we've also noted in previous videos that if corporate ownership of farms is a competitive advantage, then you're going to want to, shout that from the rooftop, so to speak. But if the percent of that is really low and the percent of the output of oils that come from those is really low, then it's not really a competitive advantage in that regard. And if all the other farms are held to the same standard, partner farms and corporately owned farms, then there's really no distinction that even needs to be made. It's just our farms are seed to seal, and seed to seal has standards. I mean, that's really... And so we get a lot of, and I get comments from people that are like, Young Living never said that we own our own farms. And so I get that. But at the same time, they admit it's a competitive advantage, the corporately owned part, or at least the seed to seal as well. And, a lot of people from Young Living have mentioned that, hey, we own our own farms. That's, what makes our quality better. And at the same time, yes, that's partially true. I mean, you own a percent of that. And those farms have a percent of output, but it's not as much as we've been kind of expressed to from folks from Young Living. And for the folks who don't say that, well, then it's still important to get transparency from Young Living about this information, because, again, this information is what was highlighted in the trial. And so this is very important to have that type of... I mean, doTERRA has that transparency because they believe it's important for people to know, and I believe that we should know with regards to Young Living as well.
Yes, and I know that a lot of people have visited their farms, and as well on both sides, because doTERRA, even though they don't own their own farms, they do partner with growers, and so some of us that have been able to visit some of the farms in the United States and in other countries as well, and see, firsthand, how they're distilling, what their practices are, which is really cool for both companies to be able to see that. But if a Young Living representative says, I've been to the farms I've been to their farms, but that percent of their farms is still a very low percent, then just going to the farm is really cool on either side, but still doesn't guarantee the quality of the oil.
Yeah, and I know some people were like, well, hey, you can't take my personal experience from me. I had what I had, and it is, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's important to have transparency on these top 6 factors, because doTERRA, again, is providing the transparency on this. It came up in the trial, and it's so important for both people, whether you're with Young Living or you're with doTERRA, or you're on the fence looking in and being like, whoa, what's going on here? It's important to just know that. I mean, because the more information and fact-based information that you have, the better educated decision you can make with regards to your health and what company that you would like to be with, stay with, or go with. And that's really important to keep in mind. And we're just here as educators to give you the information to make your own educated decision. And so I know some people, it kind of ruffles their feathers and they don't like what we're saying because, it contradicts what they've known and believed with regards to the company they're with. And so for me, it's just important to know that, hey, if I found out that, my idol that I've known for so long is actually not who he says he is, and has a totally different life, and is cheating on his wife or doing some crazy stuff that's like risque, and it's just like, well, I mean, I bought all the t-shirts and went to all the shows, and now I know that they're basically not who they say they are, and so I have to reevaluate and be like, is that the kind of person, whether they're a wrestler or a celebrity or whoever they are, actor, athlete, whatever they are, have to really reevaluate, is following them really the best option given the information that, was presented. And so that's kind of what, it's just, we just have to think about things, right? And go from there.
Yeah, and I would ask that, with going back to the proprietary information, I would question or want to know, why is it proprietary? How much oil is sourced from your farm versus another farm, being that you don't want to give that away to your competitors, but it's not like a recipe, it's just the percent. So we want to know, how much do you put out from your own farms?
Right.
That doesn't seem like a secret. That it should be something that should be available to all to everyone, whether it's your customers or your competitors.
Yeah, and I know essential oil blends that are trademarked and patented list the ingredients of them. They do that. They don't say this is the percent of each one of those ingredient, but you at least know, kind of what's in there. And that's kind of what Young Living's done. They've said, here's all of our farms, and here's kind of what comes from it and where they're located, and a little overview of the farm. But them giving the percent, I guess it's a farm and not a trademark product, and so that's what kind of makes it a little bit different, I think, in that regard. And when it's mentioned so much from Young Living folks, and at the same time it's mentioned as a competitive advantage, it's just kind of like, well, doTERRA is transparent about theirs. It just would be nice to get that transparency on the other end too.
Right, because I feel that it is important. I did have one lady that said that lavender grown in on the side of the road by the freeway in Utah is the same quality, same climate as lavender grown in France in the mountains. So I wasn't quite sure how she could come to that conclusion, but okay, so
yeah.
That's something to look at, because I'm pretty sure that the climate is quite a bit different in those two countries.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. And so I think a lot of it is just, when you are a fan of something, you kind of tend to like ignore the flaws, and you kind of just want to highlight the strengths, which is great, especially in like relationships or stuff like that, if you can always focus on the positive. But at the end of the day, you just got to be real with yourself too. And those top 6 factors to consider are something that we mention every time, because there's something that we want everyone to think about and try to find the answers to. And if you can't, then it's like, well, then you have some outstanding items really that just kind of won't allow you to make the kind of conclusion that you're making about a company. And so again, to just kind of summarize what those are, it's trying to find out what the corporately owned farm percent of total is. For Young Living, we don't know what that is. For doTERRA, it's 0%. Corporately farm volume percent of total, so how much output is coming from these farms, it's a question mark for Young Living. It's 0% for doTERRA, because they don't own any of the farms.
Well, it's a question. It will remain a question, because they don't want to answer that. So that will always be a mystery.
That's true. Yep. And then the next one is partnership farm volume percent of total. Again, question mark with Young Living. It's 100% with doTERRA, because they just work with partnership farms. And then the essential oil exclusivity percent of total. This is really important as well. And even just giving transparency on this would be really, an eye opener. But it's a question mark for Young Living. It's 84% with doTERRA. And so basically, of the output that they're given for their farms and their oils, 84% is exclusive to doTERRA. So the 16%, of the output that those farms are given, they go to other companies. And so that's important from a transparency standpoint. And then verifying the bottle batch number for quality. So on the bottom of every bottle of doTERRA, you can look at the white number if it hasn't been rubbed off already, and just go to sourcetoyou.com, and then you can actually verify that. There's like a little drop down menu, and you can click that. It's a GCMS testing. And then there's whether it's fair trade wages for all stakeholders or not. Question mark for Young Living, and it's a yes for doTERRA based on what they do with the co-impact sourcing and all the other initiatives. So basically, it's a question mark on all these regards for Young Living, and doTERRA provides the information for you. And again, all this information came up in our previous videos and the transcripts, and we're actually going to go through the Young Living announcement, also known as the press release, and the other videos that we're going to have here for the Young Living versus doTERRA lawsuit.
Yes, and I would venture to say that essential oil exclusivity percent that doTERRA has is 84%. Young Living, we don't know, and they may not say that, could relate or be because of those fair trade wages that doTERRA offers for those people that own their own farms, that they offer such, good wages, living wages, so they can take care of their families in their own countries.
Yeah, yeah, and I know that, just saying something on a website or doing that doesn't automatically guarantee something, but at least the transparency is there on the doTERRA side, and so it's so important to just kind of keep that in mind. And I mean, you can go to co-impact sourcing and Google that, and you can also go to Source2U to get that information. But at the same time, it's at least there, and that's what. And there's lots of videos on YouTube and on the website and everything to kind of show the initiatives that they're doing. But yeah, so that concludes everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click the subscribe button so you can get more information on, just future updates, or click one of the links in the description below, because we'll have a lot more information on the other videos in the series, part 1 through 4, but also parts 6 through 8. And so we're just kind of try to cover both sides of the coin.